One of the most vital aspects of your faith is connecting with other people who also believe in Jesus. I can't say that enough. When Christianity began in the first century, it was a movement of people. It had nothing to do with buildings or even religious services. The church was simply a community. In fact, the word church in Greek is Ekklesia, which simply means assembly. The church was and still is simply the assembly or gathering together of people who believe in Jesus. This community was the lifeline of the early church, and it is your lifeline as well. Now, here's why it is so important. It comes down to this. The people you are around determine the person you will become. One of the most practical verses in the Bible comes from Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. He says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." My kids have heard this verse so many times that they want to vomit when they hear it, but it's one of the most important pieces of truth I can give them. The same is true for you. I can make you this promise: faith in Jesus will be incredibly difficult if you do it alone. If you spend your time with people who are also seeking to follow Jesus, you will be filled with encouragement and inspiration. I know this for a fact. When I first became a Christian, I spent the first 6 months alone. I was not around any other Christians. I attended church about 2 times a month, but I didn't really know any of the people at church. The first couple of months was fine, but I started reading the Bible less. Temptation started getting more tempting. I started compromising my convictions, and by the end of the 6 months, I was barely even following Jesus. I was starting to give up. At the time, I thought it was because I was a bad Christian or just an idiot. I didn't realize it was because I was alone. I spent the majority of my time with people who had no relationship with God. They began to influence me more than I was influencing them. Why? Well, because walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. I was suffering the harm of being best friends with people who had no interest in following Jesus. Now, that's not to say I shouldn't hang out with them. It's just that they should not have been my primary community. As a new Christian, you will need a new primary community. Now, this may not happen all at once, but if you devote yourself to finding relationships with sincere followers of Christ, it will happen. This is what the church is. This is how you grow. One time, Jesus was teaching a group of his followers. His biological mom and brothers came and essentially demanded to speak with him. Check out how Jesus responded. He said, "Who is my mother and who are my brothers?" Pointing to the disciples, he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother." In this verse lies a great teaching that I want you to remember for as long as you live. Whoever does the will of God is your family. This family is essential to your faith. Also, the analogy is perfect. He doesn't say these people are his perfect Christian friends. He says they are his family. Here's the deal. Family members, they aren't perfect. Some are young and immature. Some are old and wise. Some are old and immature. The point isn't that they are perfect. The point is that this new community is headed in the same direction you are. By simply being in a relationship with them, you will be a stronger believer. Also, don't forget this. They need you too. Even people who have been a Christian for a long time need that young, fresh faith of someone new to the faith. It is incredibly encouraging. Now, before we hang this one up, I just want to give you a healthy expectation. We want to help connect you, but in order to be a part of a church or a community, it will always take initiative on your part. No matter what you do or where you go, prayerfully pursue the Christian community. If you do this consistently, you will find lifelong relationships that benefit you and other followers of Christ.